Welcome to Charts Today. My name is David Linton, and today's edition for Friday, the 27th of April, comes to you from London. And the dollar run continues, and the lagging line now through on the medium-term chart for the dollar. So it's turning bullish medium-term. It's still looking quite bullish short-term. It's just the long-term chart that is bearish. So we'd need to get all the way back above 97.66 on the dollar index. That's another 6 points higher, which is about 7%. So it's got to do quite a bit to get there. But at the moment, the dollar is having a good resurgent run, and that means that the euro dollar is falling, sinking to new lows, and turning bearish on the cloud here as well. So euro weaker, dollar stronger. And we're seeing on the Japanese yen, the dollar has a little bit more work to do to turn medium-term bullish, but we are just coming through the cloud here, just a bit flat the last couple of days. And sterling sitting below that 140 level, so still that weaker, stronger dollar having an impact there on the sterling rate. And against the euro, sterling is stronger, so euro weakness is a factor. Sterling sits somewhere between the dollar and the euro. Looking at the Swiss franc, sterling looking strong here as well, and against the Aussie dollar, it's fairly flat the last few days. Bitcoin is still above $9,000, but just teetering below the cloud on the short-term chart. There was a target given to 9254 on the 60-minute chart, which was met. So we did see that rise. We're just starting to come through on the medium-term chart, potentially into bullish territory, but it's still too early to say. Keep an eye on those 1-minute charts. US market had quite a strong rise last night. The S&P 500 index was up over 1%, but the real story was that the Nasdaq was up over 2%. So we're seeing the Nasdaq just trying to get back into this bullish medium-term territory. Still bearish short-term though, and the Dow wasn't up as much as the Nasdaq, up about 1%, but interestingly, it's still bearish on the short-term chart as well. So the market is still clearly not out of the woods yet. Too early to say which way we're going to go, but this volatility at the end of such a long trend is still a concern for us. The Russell 2000 actually holding its bullish position on all 3 time frames, so it's still the large caps that are dominating the picture at the moment. The S&P future is down slightly, although it's bullish short term, and the Nasdaq E-mini is up slightly, up about 0.2%. So it's hard to say which way the market will open today. Still too early to say. The FTSE 100 is looking stronger, just testing the medium-term resistance level on the chart. So not yet bullish, but looking better. And the mid 250 is actually through, so it's starting to look a bit better. So it's again these large caps that are dominating the picture globally at the moment. The Xetra DAX, the top 30 in Germany, still not quite bullish on the short-term chart, just starting to turn above the cloud. The medium-term chart still has work to do to get to bullish, and there's a shortage of upside targets, so it's a bit of a concern on the DAX. Looking at the CAC 40, we are actually through on the cloud here. The French market looking better than the German market, and we do have some upside targets to play for. Japanese stocks actually had quite a good night as well. Tensions on North Korea reducing dramatically in the region, helping, and we are seeing that Japan is recovering, although we're not through yet on the medium-term chart. And the Hang Seng Index was up 2/3%, but again still in bearish territory on the short and the medium term. And we are seeing that the Nasdaq, the Chinese stocks are still teetering along the bottom here. It was up very slightly, but much weaker than other markets. It's not seeing the recovery filtering through here. So China is probably one of the most worrying major markets at the moment. The Sensex looking stronger, just about to come through on the medium term. And the Australian market also closed up over 2/3% and starting to look stronger, just testing that medium term as well. Brent crude sitting at $74.50, so just holding around that $75 level, still looking bullish on all 3 time frames. WTI not quite as bullish on the short-term chart. US nat gas ticked up a little bit to $2.81, so we are still just improving, breaking out of that $2.80 range, the $2.70s for the first time in a good few months. So we are seeing sort of 3-month highs there on the gas contract, Henry Hub. Heating oil, similar to crude, is up. Also, just looking at some of the softs, coffee is looking stronger short term, although medium and long term it is still looking weak. If we look at the cocoa chart, cocoa is looking pretty strong all round. Actually, it's one of the best looking softs, and it is bullish on all three time frames, clear recovery. And the sugar chart is still bearish on all three time frames, so sugar looking bearish. Gold actually looking pretty weak at the moment, just falling back. We've got targets below 1300, we're sitting at 1316, so bearish short term. Medium and long term still holding the bullish position, and if you look at the long term triangle trend, nowhere near breaking down out of that yet. So still looking very bullish in the long term charts, but the short term charts are bearish. Silver actually looking a little bit better, but short term still bearish and has more work to do on the medium and long term. US 10-year bond yields back below 3%, just turning below the cloud there. So we're starting to see a little bit of a bearish move here, but the fact that we held 3% for quite a while, a few days, was pretty bullish, and it does look like we will return quite happily to that 3% level. So we've got a target here of 305 and 291 playing out on the short-term chart. The German bond yield, remember the German bonds, this is the price, not the yield. So we're really seeing the breakdown here on the weekly. This is the first time for 10 years. So we're seeing bond markets really in turmoil, and it does signal an end to the bull run in bonds. If we look at Apple's still probably one of the most worrying tech stocks. Bearish short term below the cloud. We've got a downside target of 12% activated, and also on the longer term charts we've got 14 and 15% downside targets activated. Apple could be the elephant in the room, so to speak, for US markets. Amazon actually was up 4%, holding its bull trend, and it looks pretty bullish right throughout this route this year, so one of the better looking stocks. Alphabet recovering as well, up 1.8%, but still bearish short and medium term. Facebook had a massive rise yesterday, up 9% on their results, so looking much better than it has been, but still not anywhere near the highs, the 190 where it's sitting in the mid 170s. So still got a lot of work to do to turn bullish, but we have got a new upside target. We actually tweeted this yesterday, a new upside target of over $200 on Facebook. And last of all, Microsoft holding its bull trends. It did go below the cloud, but it's looking a little bit better here. Microsoft, one of the better looking tech majors, of course, not as vulnerable sort of those pricings as we see with the likes of Amazon, Alphabet, and Facebook. That's it for today. Have a great weekend. Until Monday, happy charting. See you then.